Let's look at some of the tech planning behind your supply chain and how you integrate business process improvement as well as the technology improvement. They really go hand in hand. And sometimes you have two different groups working on it. And in my opinion, I think they really need to sit down, maybe develop some of their plans individually, but have a common meeting on a regular basis to make sure you're talking to each other. Otherwise, you might have somebody developing some IT changes here and some business process over here. If you don't talk and don't have that cross communication, you're going to have all kinds of problems. Some of the areas to look at is marketing, how you have that problem and what's out there, how you're routing, looking at the exact heuristics as to exactly how you're routing the different pathways you're going to have inside of the supply chain, anywhere from ships, trucks, planes, or whatever you might have, looking at that aspect, looking on production scheduling, making certain that you're looking at if you want to have a pull system. Most people probably have a push-pull system in maybe your industry. So how are you pulling things through? Are you talking as the end people over here that are selling the product or service at the end? Are they talking to the people over here? You need to have that aspect of it. That's a business process change that can be helped facilitated by IT. So logistics, look at the mode selection, what you're choosing to sit down and do it. Do a lot of planning. A lot of planning takes talking, it takes communication, and I'm always in favor of the AI. I think it is the wave of the future, and I think you need to be on top of it as well. Make certain you're using it as best you possibly can. Look at the network design, tactical planning, operational planning. Whenever you hear the word strategic, normally when we talk about strategic in business as a whole, we're talking big picture, 3+ years out on a regular basis. Tactical, we normally refer to that mid-range, 1 to 3 years, where you're taking the strategic plan, you're breaking it down into components as to what you're going to achieve in 3 years, 2 years, and 1 year. That's tactical. And then operational is really 1 year and less. And so you're going to sit down and look at the operational planning. That should be really nothing more than a small bite out of strategic, another bite out of tactical. And you're looking down here and implementing it, making it happen. This is where you rock and roll. This is where rubber hits the road. Please feel free to use whatever cute little phrase you want, but here is where it's done at the operational level during operational execution. All plans come out. It's nice to plan, but when you finally do it, it's all got to work together in the real world instead of in somebody's head or some AI set in the process. Pick an optimal number, locations, size of the warehouse or plants. Determine your optimal sourcing strategy. And by the way, just because you choose it doesn't mean it's going to happen. Pay attention to all the details because there's details that no matter how much you have for the data, you are a human being. There's a probability you won't get every single aspect of it. It doesn't mean you can't get 90% of it, 95 or even 98% of it. Determine the best distribution channels. Look on the aspect of minimizing total cost. Recently, was talking to somebody, they had an issue at a hospital. They're looking at the aspect of they have one robot they're spending over $40,000 a month for, and only two doctors are using it. So the solution is two. One of them is get rid of it and stop spending the money. That's an awful lot of money to spend $500,000 a year for a robot seldom used. The other part is maybe you train more doctors on how to use it and actually have a better return on the investment of the cost of it. It just depends what you're looking at. If you always choose save money, are you going to move forward in the process? So look at that aspect of it. Determine really the costing, sourcing, production, transportation, warehousing, inventory. Look big picture strategically as to where you want to go as an organization. Sometimes you need to sit down and have somebody looking big picture and stop looking at what's happening tomorrow. Maybe having a robot, maybe having more training is a better long-term strategy than save money, save money. It just depends. They're both good strategies. At what hat are you wearing that day? Use aggregated data and use long-term forecasts that really determine where you want to go as an organization with your supply chain. Tactical planning, that's the 1 to 3 year aspect of it. Coordinate production, distribution strategy, storage requirements, have a lot of inventory planning. Inventory, keeping it as low as possible, but having the right inventory on hand at the right time for the right customer is part of the ultimate mantra for everything that's involved with supply chain management. That's what it's about. So how do you best position inventory in the supply chain? Do you eliminate factories and not have any in North America and just trust everybody's going to arrive on time by plane, boat, ship, or whatever it is? That's a really bad strategy. You want to have sometimes your distribution points as close as possible to the customer, or make certain that you can get things on a quick basis, even in times of a risk or a pinch in your supply chain process. Enable efficiencies in procurement, production, distribution, inventory, transportation. Include that in your short-term planning aspect of it. No matter how much planning you do on a strategic level, on a tactical level, sometimes the operational planning really shows whether or not your planning is really good or not so good. The planning horizon, typically an operational planning, is daily to weekly. The system's focus on generating feasible strategies and sometimes not optimized solutions, but things that make things happen in your planning horizon. So the four components of operational planning: demand planning, generate demand forecasts based on historical and other pertinent information. A lot of times, look on the previous 3 years and make a sense as to what is optimal, then what is your expected, and then what is the least optimal. Sometimes you have three different systems going on at the same time. Sometimes you prepare for expectations, superb expectations, and not so superb expectations. Three different scenarios. That really helps an awful lot. That is the way I handle business, whether it's budgeting or planning in the process. You look into three different scenarios: statistical analysis, forecasting methods, have some production scheduling, look on the production schedules based upon the master plan and demand forecast. Hopefully that's articulating with your tactical planning and your operational planning. Look on the inventory management. You want to sit down and have a good inventory that has facilities in the supply chain that's going to sit down and make sure you have the things that you want when they're supposed to be there for the customer that's paying for it. Transportation planning. Sometimes the things happen. Sometimes you have a ship run into a bridge and all of a sudden everything's disrupted in the whole region. Sometimes you have something going right and going well past your expectations. It just depends on what's going on. Transportation planning is a big deal. You want to look continuously on what balances out supply and demand. You want to have that forecasting, hopefully, is right on. Across function, integrating sales, marketing, and product launch. Look on the aggregated volume you to expect to have. Look in your ERP, in your CRM, and different systems that you have. Customer relations, what's happening over there, the overall aspect of your ERP. They're complex. Implement the system, have internal processes, have they been converted over that everybody's talking the same language, follow industry conventions, you have industry standards, pay attention. Are you the benchmark for other people for your supply chain? Do they look to you as the leader in the industry? Are you the benchmark they're going to measure themselves against? If you're not, you got to do some work, because you should be. If everything is optimized and everything is flowing the way it is. And you don't always have to be the big person on block. You can be the medium-sized person and still be that benchmark. Companies have to decide what are priorities implementation, what should a company invest in first. These are some of the basic things you have to think about if you really want to be cutting edge. Look on the different issues, look on your decision support system, look on the different aspects of the ERP, what you want to have happen. Purchase the ERP and supply chain DSS, the best of breed. Sometimes you want to have purchase the best fit solution each category from a different vendor. I don't know if that's a smart idea, because do they talk to each other and do they articulate well to each other? I've been in companies where you have different things and they don't talk to each other, and it drives everybody crazy. Usually the systems, they come from being developed in this region over here, and then they add things on it that's really cute and everything else, just trying to make more money. Does the system articulate all by itself? Do you need two systems, three systems to articulate to each other? Be careful on that. I also, the aspect of proprietary systems development, I'm not certain that's the best pathway. My experience is it is not, because too often what happens, you end up having a political nightmare. If you're developing an IT department and the IT department is building up your own system, you will have people defending it against all the potential outsiders and really the innovation that has to take place on a regular basis. Your IT system is the heart of a lot of your supply chain management, if indeed you're using it properly. make certain that that heart is always in the mint condition and healthy, and that means change and constantly changing in the process, and make certain you're not having your IT system fighting you over what's current in the market. They shouldn't be running the show. They should be sitting down there and helping you manage the show in the process. So supply chain tech planning, all types of planning here need to be coordinated. Your strategic, your tactical, and your operational, and of course, that operational execution, it should all flow easily up and down the entire chain, be talked about, and also make sure everybody across the entire supply chain, when you can trust them all and their solid integrity, that they're all seeing what your plans are, be honest and sharing as you possibly can. Homegrown systems become political after time, and too much efforts made to defend rather than modify. So be careful about that. If you're going to buy a system, make certain the system articulates with other systems in the process, or you'll be stuck with something, and you'll have the only people that can talk to it are the IT people, and it's not easy to communicate. Make certain it's easy and everybody can understand how to use it in a way that is the most highly productive for everybody involved. Take care.